I'll find out for sure, but probably, Peterson was, because he's run out of money now, right? Like he got him till about, I don't know, Christmas, and then he ran
Yeah.
out. So he was talking about needing a job where he made more money. So he might just need two jobs, so we'll figure it out.
Okay. So that's the main difference there. And then last is the transfers, putting transfers back in and raising some of them up. So putting
Hang
the
on a second. Let's go back to Parks and Rec. With the maintenance, you've got a big bump up in the maintenance side of this, and I wonder, do you have new chips and we've got some repairs that need to be done up there? Is that included in this increase that you have on parks repair and
Yeah.
maintenance?
The mayor
Okay.
said that the trail going around it, park, it's degraded in many areas and he wants to get that completely fixed.
Okay, well, we are gonna have to bring in, I'm almost positive we're gonna have to bring in wood chips this year. So I want to make sure that there's enough in there to get, because we haven't put wood chips in a while.
And those wood chips are rolled and certified, and they only have 2 or 3 places in Utah that get them.
Mhm.
So you're going to be probably 4-ish grand because we have to put those in at the schools, and they are not cheap. And that snow compaction, you got to have 9 inches of fall. So you're thinking,
So I think we need to put some in for chips this year.
okay, so we are including in the 12,500 some chips, but Ted, you brought up the other day you were, or you talked about some of the sprinklers might be broken, and we might have. We had sprinkler costs this year. Let's just look real quick. I can make these ones bigger. So
Yeah,
this
we
year we
got
have like Mountain Line Supply, 641 in sprinkler parts,
Yeah.
and then winterization of 400. So we had about 1,000 just alone in sprinkler parts.
Yeah, and I would think we're gonna, we could be close to the same. When we fire this up, we won't know for sure, but I'm sure there's gonna be a few heads and stuff we're gonna have to replace. I have asked Zach's gonna go up and measure our chip depth to figure out where we're at on chip depth and how much we'll have to add. So we'll have probably a better idea of how much we're gonna have to add here in the next week or two. He was on his way up, but then we got snow, so he's waiting, and then we'll go through a full inspection of all the equipment and everything. But I think the chip cost and the trail are the two things that are going to be our biggest cost up there.
So Brian, what would you recommend we up this to?
You're saying it's like $4,000 a load
That's
for
just,
chips?
that's just a educated guess. The challenge that you guys have there is how to get the chips down.
Yeah,
And so if you have Zach do it, that's one thing, but if you're gonna have to pay the chip company to do it, then that's another thing.
It's
I'm gonna have to rely on Ted.
That's why we need a skid steer.
So yeah, we'll go through once Zach measure. That's a good question. Maybe it's hard to say right now until we can measure the chips how much we'll have to bring in actually, but we will need some. I'm pretty sure they're compacted. Just reading through that checklist you sent, Chris, there's area, we have to look at areas that are compacted too much and areas that may be short and skim, but I would plan on some chips. I mean, probably, I can't remember what the depth has to be, 9 inches or 12 inches,
Just,
something like that. We're probably gonna need to bring in about half, I'm guessing, to bring it up to that depth.
and have you guys seen the trail where the mayor's talking? Do we have any idea what that would cost to fix those pieces? Sounds like the asphalt needs to be taken out, new road base, and then brought back in because it's failed.
Yeah, there's some areas where the trail has sunk, for lack of better terms. It's cracking pretty good. I mean, we did crack. There was a seal coat put on last year, but there's portions of it that are just failing, and I
So the
don't.
budget here, 1,000 for sprinklers, 4,000 for chips. That still leaves 7,500 for the trail. Do you think that would be sufficient?
I think that would fix some good portions of the trail. I don't, it's not going to replace the entire trail, but maybe that's something we look at doing over a couple of years or so. But I think that will fix at least the 2 or 3 areas I can think of.
With enough in the roads budget this year, we could take some out of roads, put it down here, and get that fixed.
And if we're fixing it, the trail, if we do it the same time we're doing some roads up there, it should be a little bit cheaper because they're already bringing the materials and the manpower up, right?
You hope so.
Then doing it
'cause
as a
they're
separate
mobilizing,
thing.
but
It's kind of different equipment.
Well,
Yeah, because
well,
you're
the
bringing a
asphalt
big
would
old
be the same,
spreader.
wouldn't it? The
Uh-uh.
asphalt?
Chris, this is Wayne. Be aware also, Summit Creek, by agreement with them, for every lot they sell, they provide $400 to the city specifically for trails, for maintenance, for upkeep, for adding to, anything related to trails. I don't know, we probably have around maybe $2,000 in some of that they haven't paid yet, but or maybe none of it they've paid yet.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's their commitment for income, and it's available then for trail expense. So I just want to make you aware of that.
So that's all their trails too in Summit Creek and throughout the city?
No, just in the city, nothing to do with Summit Creek.
So not their trails in Summit Creek?
No, they're going to take care of their own trails, and that's a deal we made with them in the development agreement. The basically unofficially giving up using their trails, but they said they wouldn't object if we did use their trails, but that money is for the rest of Woodland Hills, not Summit Creek.
Okay, so I think it's about 2,000. So I'm gonna change, it was 0 I had in the budget for revenue. I'm gonna change that to 2,000. And
Yeah, I
then,
think that's about the amount that we've got from the development agreement time signed to now for the lots.
oh, sorry, we have received 2,000 this year already.
No, that's total.
That's what they're supposed to be giving us based on the development agreement, but we haven't invoiced them for it.
We're talking to them about it.
Okay.
On December 15th, they paid us $2,000.
No, that's what they owe us.
On December 15th, the city received a check for $2,000.
Okay, well, maybe that's what that was for then.
Yeah, so it looks like they've already paid it. So would you suspect it's gonna be that same thing, or is it only when houses are sold?
Only when a lot is sold.
Lot. So what should we put 2,000 in for this year, this coming up year?
Yes, we could do that if it was
Okay.
paid in December.
Okay. So back down then to trails. Or parks maintenance. If you think 12,005 is good, or should we up that a wee bit?
14.
14.5.
So
since
14.5,
put that two
if we
in.
transfer that 2,000 from Summit Creek to then use as the city park trail.
Yeah, so watch this number right here, up here at the top. So we just added that 2,000 that Wayne was talking about, and then added money here. We still are a positive $960. So by adding that 2,000 here, it really didn't do anything negative to the budget yet.
$900.
Well, it's hard to say about the 12.5 because it's all going to depend on the cost of the chips and what we need to fix on the trail. I mean, I'm just wondering too, if we had to, we've got, looks like we had some in chipper days, 10,000 in chipper days. Is that to cover some of the wages of the fire crew?
Good.
Must.
I'm just wondering if we didn't use some of that, could we move it into the maintenance if we
Yes.
needed to?
Yeah,
Because I met with the county a couple weeks ago, and they're going to come up and give us 2 weeks at no cost for all our wood chipping. And I mean, if we can cover the crew out of our mitigation funds, that's all fire dependent, but then maybe we can move some of this into help cover some of the expenses.
Do you have the dates when they're coming?
Yes. May 28th through the day after Memorial Day through the end of the next week, whatever that is.
And there's always more, and we've used Zach and we've used other city workers to chip. There's always stuff that the county guys won't get.
Yeah, the fire crew, they helped chip last year.
So the, like the
Several times.
28th to the June 1st, to that next Saturday, or a whole week?
So, we can start, I mean, we
Or
can start
2
putting
weeks,
it
you
out the
said.
next, even the next newsletter. So yeah, I've solidified the
To the
dates with them for
11th.
Chipper. So it starts on the 28th and it goes all of that week and then all of the next week.
Okay, so 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2
So
weeks.
to the 11th of June.
Yeah. Everyone has to have their wood out, but we'll write a whole thing on that, send it out.
Yeah.
That'll be a TED Talk?
It is actually my next TED Talk. I'm talking about what we did last year and what we got coming up.
Awesome.
Yeah, because somebody already asked me about it the other day, and I said, I don't think we have it planned yet, so, great.
Awesome.
But where I'm going is if we can get all that, so last year we didn't spend any money really on doing chip. Last year we didn't spend much money on chipping out of the parks, but, so if we needed to, we could look at moving some of that, if the chips in the trail end up being a little more than we planned, out of the wages and move it over.
That'd be great. Thank you.
This is kind of fun. It's the first time I've been through a budget. This is awesome, you guys.
I think
You are
so
a sick
too.
individual.
Yeah, man, at least now I'm understanding the budget.
I know, it helps a lot when we go through it like this, even though it takes a lot of time.
I didn't understand it before, but I just never got this detailed in it, so now. Yeah.
Yeah, this is our retreat. We got Zao.
Exactly. Okay.
Okay, looking at putting some money back into savings for fire, $10,000 for future equipment. EMS, $10,000 for future equipment. Snow plowing, $10,000. Roads, capital projects, $5,000 and $1,000 for parks. Some of these do have some balances right now, up to upwards of $30,000. But that's just what's being proposed. Doral, I got your email here. We do need to make one adjustment to the 911 fees. And this will make our budget go the wrong way, but
The second email is the 22,000.
yeah, 22.6 it looks like.
Yeah.
So we're gonna take this.
Dispatch fees, where are they?
Oh, there it is. I'm like, well, that does not make sense. Okay, so it's gonna be 22,600. So now what that does, it puts us in a negative $1,600 now overall. So we need to take something away or reduce something. I would recommend just taking it out, the 1,600, just out of the roads right here, this 211,000. And then down,
We always take stuff out of roads.
it's only 1,600.
Take it out of my salary. Oh, wait, there's not enough.
I was gonna say, wait a second, you're gonna be paying. Okay, so that's the general budget. I'll send this back out to you guys so you can see what's happened here. But really the only change was that $2,000 in revenue from what Wayne had put in there, and then we adjusted some things up and down a little bit here and there. So compared to last year, this is phenomenal. And this is just the general. We still got to go through a couple other things, capital projects. Are we okay to move on?
Yes.
One question, you had Ted's new truck all on fire, and I don't think that it really matters, but where we split his wages up and split, should that be split up, or is it okay just to keep it in one spot? I mean,
You know what?
it's dollars in, dollars out, but
For this overall budget, it doesn't matter, but you're right. It needs to be broken out between water and roads and fire. So-
yeah, and I really think, especially the water, where it can only be used that way. So I was just hoping to see that.
So let's actually make that adjustment now.
I think we may have done that. Anyway, yeah, check those numbers, because when I was looking at that the other day, Chris, I noticed the note still said the fire chief truck, but the amount was a third of the truck. Because I think our engine payment was around 62, and then there was about another 4 in there for that. So I know we talked about splitting it. I just wasn't sure if
Yeah.
the note got updated.
It already is split up.
Yeah, I think it
Okay.
was. This note didn't get updated.
I was hoping we could recuperate $4,000, but yeah, it's already done.
Darn. Okay, thanks.
Okay, so we don't have any major capital projects planned in the sense that we would use this particular capital projects account for, so we're not gonna talk about that, but we do have other capital projects accounts planned for. Fire savings that we talked about. So I'm not gonna go through these next four because these are just the savings accounts. But I do want to jump to roads. Because we do have a chunk set aside to finish Loafer Drive. And so that money is still sitting here ready to be used. Just whenever we get, I can't remember, Ted, where do we stand with that?
They're working on the engineering right now.
Okay,
The idea is to get it out to bid
Okay,
late
that's
spring
fine.
and hopefully have it built before November.
okay. So that's another big project that'll be going on next year. Let's jump to water, if that's okay. And, the water collections are going pretty good. I'm estimating we're gonna get another 30,000 next year. But our loan payments, that really was raised for our loan payments. Otherwise, keeping a lot of the water account level. Our salaries went down in the water account because we're not doing things with a well anymore with salaried people or water repairs per se. But the $25,000 difference, I just put down into the repairs because yeah, we're not gonna have salaries, but we're gonna have outside people coming in and doing it. So that's kind of where that went. But otherwise, just kind of going through the water expenses. Ted, I reduced the tools. Corbett, break a tool here, break a tool there. I reduced that in half. I don't know if you needed 15 grand still.
Sorry, what was that? Reduce the what?
Tools for the water account.
Tools? Oh, yeah, that's fine. I don't know what will, the only thing that I'm looking at right now is buying a couple more pieces of parts, just so we have a full stock here for our emergency. I went through with the contractor in the supply house yesterday. We went through everything we've got downstairs and we're pretty well stocked for parts. So in the event we have an emergency, contractor can come up here and grab parts off our shelves rather than have to try and get a supply house that's open at 3 a.m. So I may be buying just a couple more parts to finish our stock, but tools I think we're fine. I don't,
Again, parts would
that
come
can go
off
down.
Parts would come off this 100 grand right here.
Okay, yeah.
And we've only spent 7,000 this year and 49 the year before. So that should give you enough to stock up.
Jody wants a working drill, so I guess I'll have to buy one of those.
Oh,
The one that has the bent tip on it, I guess, just doesn't
wine.
isn't cutting it.
So really the water account is pretty,
That comes after the toilet.
Yeah, exactly.
You get a toilet seat or a drill.
oh, that's bad.
I hope somebody watches this recording.
Yes, they will.
Oh, they're gonna think I'm so not very serious. I just like to keep a little levity in the meeting.
Speaking of levity, okay, so that's the water going in. Let's talk about sewer, the water going out. And that is pretty much same level. The city is making a little bit on this to cover expenses, but we also now have to do our own maintenance on it. And that's why we raised the rates last 2 or 3 fiscal, or what do they call it, fee schedule reviews.
I think we also raised it, just for clarity, it was because Payson raised theirs as well.
Right.
Correct.
So the majority of the raise came from Payson, not us.
Correct. We had to do it $10,000, but Payson's raise, yeah. And my understanding is it's still gonna go up more from Payson City.
Well, we're
Should
looking
we-
to negotiate that a little bit, right, Ted? To make sure we're not being billed for maintenance like we have been. Is that true?
Yeah, so the final agreement, I don't think it's been solidified yet to take over the maintenance.
Yeah.
So we still got to work that out and then we'll see, yeah, how that affects the fee from Payson, right?
Okay. Thank you.
So guys,
Do we have, are we putting money aside into a savings account for, for when we need to actually make big repairs? Right now, the system's pretty new, so we don't have a ton. But as it wears, as we're seeing in our water system, we're gonna have big things in there. Should we be putting money aside for that for the future?
We have
So on
money
line
inside.
6690, we actually funded depreciation. And so we're putting another $120,000 projected this year away.
Okay,
Some years it's more, some years it's less. You can see the previous year, it was 277,443, and the year before it was 202,000. That money right now, I'm gonna get a different screen up here. That money right now is sitting in a PTIF account at the state, earning about 5% interest. And we have a good chunk in there. Let's just.
but that's water, not sewer, right?
Oh, you're talking sewer.
Sewer.
Oh, yeah, no, nothing's being saved for,
Right now would be the time to start saving, in my opinion.
well, we have $4,000 potential carryover right now is it. So we need to up the sewer rates again to cover that kind of stuff.
I don't, and that's what I'm kind of bringing up here.
So in the water account, we got about $1.3 million in savings right now.
I can make a suggestion too as we look at this, and this is just a thought that's I'm saying out loud, but haven't really vetted out yet. If we were to negotiate our contract with Payson, but maintain our rate, we could start setting money aside for future repairs, if that makes sense. So in other words, we're going to take over the maintenance ourselves, but we keep the rate the same. So we'll in fact should get a reduction from Payson, but we take that reduction and start setting it aside in an account to say for future replacement.
So we
My
probably
comment.
need another line item to put that, to be able to make those transfers easily done by the mayor, wouldn't we, Chris?
Yeah, we could put it under the depreciation expense right here and just
Oh,
start
we've got it. Okay, it's there.
funding it ourselves. I mean, right now we could put $4,000 in there. Oops.
Or
And
would it
then,
be put under 6112 sewer repairs?
I'd put under
No, it's under
Replacement?
depreciation expense.
Okay,
So as the equipment is depreciating, we're instead of writing it off of your books, we're actually adding money onto our, in a bank account so that we can pay for the repair later.
yeah, more of a capital.
Yes.
Yep.
So then do you want to take that off of the service to Payson then, that 4,000?
well, I took the
Wait,
4,000.
you've got it leveled out.
Yeah, we had 4,000 extra
Okay.
to cover employee
And that's-
costs and stuff, but
I don't know what we should be saving right now. Is it a 20-year system? Is it and that I don't know. And we rely on Ted for those kind of things. But I think we need to start saving now for that.
Yeah, the
And
state. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, that's it. That's
I'm just saying, the state usually recommends 10 to 20% of your income off your sewer revenue be set aside.
let's treat this like we want to treat our roads and be
It's
ready
more-
to maintain it.
More than 4,000, I'll bet, right?
yeah.
Yeah, that's what in fact, when you go for funding now for water or even sewer at the state level, and you're looking at raising rates to cover the debt service, they are almost requiring now you raise it an extra 20%, that rate, to collect for capital replacement.
Sheesh.
So we do have some in legal. I don't know how much more legal we're gonna have to do, Ted, if we're working agreements with Basin City, we're gonna get the attorneys involved, but there could be potential money there that could be bumped down in depreciation.
Yeah, let's wait until that happens before we raise sewer rates again that quickly.
That's a crappy thing. Okay, so anything? That's the budget this year.
Woohoo!
Okay,
Any
well
pet
done.
projects or anything we missed?
appreciate that we went through it line by line. That
Yeah,
helps
I
us
loved
to
it.
see where it
Yeah.
goes
Yeah,
and
really like that.
and also where maybe those holes are.
I'm goofy here. When you added 4,000 depreciation to sewer, why didn't we go minus 4,000 up in the budget totals? I guess I don't understand depreciation.
Our revenue was 76,000. Our expenses were 72, left 4,000.
I
So
see.
We're treating this as an expense and we'll transfer it over to the savings account.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. When you get old like us, you'll know. And you'll think back on it.
That's what I was telling him.
Trying to find my agenda here and it's disappeared on me. We'll get a new one. Okay, then we will move over. Thank you, Chris.
Reports.
Number 9, mayor and city council reports. We will skip the mayor unless, Jody, do you have anything on personnel to bring forward, or Ted or Wayne? Anything? Okay. Myself, emergency management department. I actually was not able to make my meeting today, but Carrie was there. Could you give that for me, Carrie?
Well, so gave the report. They are, let me just make sure I've got this. They're having Operation Slice, which is in September, which is a readiness exercise that will be held September 10th through 12th that we will be participating in. It's at the Spanish Fork River Park campground, and it's going to focus mostly on communications, and we're going to be having meetings throughout the summer preparing for that, but it's a statewide exercise.
And you guys will actually, really like that, Doral especially, because I know you would like this type of thing, but it's basically bringing all the communication apparatuses and technology to see if they'll actually integrate.
Yep.
And to test their integration so that we can actually communicate when we have problems.
So there is,
So
and for your information, there's a planning meeting on Thursday at 10 a.m.
Thursday at 10, okay, thank you.
And
There's a
then-
ton of changes coming on radios, and
Yes.
that'll be
Mhm.
hopefully they're
Whole new
handling that.
thing here. And then, I gotta read my own scribble here. Because today there was a trench collapse in Cedar Hills, and so County Emergency Management, the people who were giving us a presentation, had to leave the presentation and go and save this gentleman that on the trench collapse. They on April 18th, which we'll be in St. George, but it's the Great Shakeout statewide. And so our local ham radio check-in is at 7:30 with the DEM at 8
7:30
p.m.
a.m.?
p.m.
PM.
Uh-huh. And then there's a bunch of other meetings that I can tell you that you're going to be going to. There is brick training seminar. I don't know if we want to participate in that or not, but it's 10 weeks. It starts tomorrow, and there's one training webinar each week for 10 weeks. Is that something that we want to do, Ted? I know, but do we need us to do that?
Basically, they're just walking through how to do the grants, the brick
Right.
grants. I've been through those. I mean, if you want to, you're welcome to. They put out the PowerPoints later too, so you can go through them at your own time. But if you want to go through these, yeah, I've been through them, and I don't know that we'll be doing any brick applications anytime soon.
Right.
Probably be a few years or so, but I mean, you're welcome to if you want, but it's up to you guys. I've been through them, so I've done several brick grants, so I'm pretty familiar with them.
So, and then the other dates are just things that I can just tell you. One of the things that they're asking us to do is to practice ham radio monthly checks with our residents who are ham radio trained. And that,
Perfect.
they're wanting us to start doing that as cities once a month. Spanish Fork, I think, does it the last Sunday of every month. And that might be something that you could get Aaron on.
I like that, because we do text messages in our districts once a month.
That'd be great. Perfect, thank you. Councilmember Hutchings, Public Works Committee, Parks and Trails, and Planning Commission.
Okay, so we did not have a Public Works meeting last month because of the caucus. They did ask members to, if they could attend the Finance Committee because they were talking about some of the Public Works things there. I did not attend that. I didn't feel it was necessary for me to be there. I don't know if Carrie did or not, but I know that Janet was there. And PTR, they apparently don't have a March meeting. They never told me that. And I was down there and got Jody down there to get everything set up and no one showed. So we didn't have that meeting. And our planning commission meeting was, of course, talking about what we went through today and voted on today. And I believe if I can read my chicken scratch, Wayne, you brought up some maybe possibly looking at accessory buildings, the ordinance on accessory buildings, if I remember right. I'm not reading my handwriting very well, so and so they might be taking a look at that. And that's all I've got to report.
Wonderful, thank you. Councilmember Kinnison, Public Safety Committee.
The fire department appreciates the 100% showing of the council to our dinner. You all showed up, and we recognize that as a nice thing you did. We had a question. We really need to recruit some new members, and we thought we'd talk to the council about putting a sign up, volunteers needed or firefighters needed or whatever Ted writes on the sign. We'd like to consider that.
I think we found a sign. I've got to read it still, but I think we've got a sign. I think it's actually, so it's in my office, I think now, but
Okay.
so, and maybe the thought was during our fire EMS week, or, that May 4th, I think is our date for that. Maybe during that week, we hang some signs up and have the big, the celebration on Saturday and make it some
Okay.
recruiting as well.
Because the signs usually are for the expo. Is that what you're talking about? The week of the fire expo?
Maybe we need to put it up a week before.
Oh, that's true.
So she can have her expo sign,
Yeah.
or we can.
Yeah, and then, because we'll have a sign up for the Maple Fest, but after that, like, you could put it up before they put up the Maple Fest, and you could do it anytime after. So that's the only thing I would say is when they put it up, they're gonna put it up for a couple weeks before the Maple Fest.
Yeah, we wouldn't do it till after the Maple Fest.
Okay, perfect.
Unless, do you have one?
Does it say horrible hours, worst pay, but a cool hat?
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, it's a cool jacket.
Yeah, it's a cool jacket.
City council is protesting and wants a jacket now. We're
And we
jealous.
did find a sponsor to pay for the city council jackets.
Oh,
Well, then
I
there's
thought
no
we'd have to use our
excuse.
discretionary fund.
Somebody offered to pay for them.
We'll just maybe coordinate putting the sign up.
$50 each. I don't think were the fire ones more than $50 each?
I doubt it, but I don't know.
You'd have to ask Rachel and John. They ordered them.
well, then the city can kick in the difference. We'll let the sponsor do the 50.
If we can get moving on it, then we can get them for St. George.
And then if we get it going, we can do them for wear to St.
Jody,
George's.
having a
She's
melt-
dying over there.
Would you like me to help you with design or something, Jody?
Yeah, we want them to look cool.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Let's have you do it, Janet.
that's all I have, Ben. Thanks.
Perfect, thank you. Councilmember Lunt, Finance, Communication, Events, and Volunteers.
So for finance, we just had the email where Chris sent us the budget so we could look at it. I think there were a couple questions, so that was good. Finance Committee does want to know how involved City Council wants them to be. They want to know like what, and I told them from what I knew, mostly just going through everything with a fine tooth comb, making sure everything looks okay to them, because we have these CPAs and everything on there, right? But I don't know if there's anything more that we want the Finance Committee to do.
You know what I would love is I would love a written response back from that committee that any issues they found in it. I think
I
we
take
need,
the minutes, so that's not hard to do.
I just think it would be respectful because those are good people that look at our finances. And I want them to know that we'll listen to them.
Yeah, I think they maybe lately haven't felt super useful. Like we need to make them feel a little more utilized, if that makes sense.
I can't think of anything more important than our next budget. That's huge. So if they would look at that and
Okay.
make comments,
So we can write some things and okay.
appreciate that.
Yep. And then the communication team, we got everything in for our next newsletter, so we'll get that out. Wayne, I did check and it did go to your email.
Something's wrong with this stuff. They said it did, but it didn't. We're trying to figure it out now. We're likely not the only one.
He thinks you're spam.
Uh-huh. There's some things that I don't get that everybody will say, I got those, and then sometimes then like a week or so later it will just pop up. And
Well, that's like if Wayne
weird.
emails me, I think it's better now, but it used to be I would never get, or if you email everybody, I don't get that email. I only get someone when they respond, and then I scroll down and read your email. But sometimes, if you want to get hold of me quickly, don't ever email me, is I guess what I'm saying. Send me a text, because I don't always get your emails. So anyway, so that's something to look into. I'll follow up with you on that. And then events and volunteers, we have the Maple Fest coming up. They've been working really hard. Processed a lot of bottles already, and they are going to do. It's probably been talked about, but they're going to do the delayed release of the bottles when they sell them. So I think that will really help. And anyway, I'm excited for that. So that's all I got. No Easter Bunny this year. No Easter Bunny. I'm going to be in Arizona in the sunshine, just so you know.
Darn. You'll walk around alone. Don't arrest me, though.
Just walk around the city in your suit.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
All right.
I do want to ride along again. That would be good.
Don't pick up little children.
So,
It's legal. Come on.
Janet, we do have a few things for the finance committee that we've discussed in staff meeting,
Okay.
and so
If you'll
the
get
mayor
those,
will get those to you.
yeah, if you'll get them to me, like I say, they just really are some really top-notch people, and they want to know. They're kind of asking, what do you want us to do?
Yep. No, we've got some things.
Okay, perfect.
Councilmember Malkovich. So Public Works with grants and community development.
yeah, Public Works, as Brian said, we didn't meet last month, but we're looking at a grant. It has not yet been released. They were waiting for the federal government to pass their budget, so that only happened a couple of days ago. When they do open it up, Burgess Owen's office is going to let me know. So we've been working with them. Community development, you heard everything that we are doing. We've only had the 2 meetings. One was for them to elect a chair and a secretary. Kirsten Thompson and Chloe Cleveland are the 2 for that, those 2 assignments. And then they had the one the other day to replace Rod. And as you heard, we voted tonight to accept their recommendation of Lori. And the RFP will go out tomorrow morning.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Okay. Possible items for upcoming city council meetings.
I don't have anything.
believe, Chris, you mentioned Utopia wanted to come to one of our meetings. Or was that the mayor?
You're muted, Chris.
Can't remember.
He's just laying on the beach, letting the water just float up.
Yeah, I don't want that noise to be bugging you guys. That might have been mayor.
I think
Okay.
that was our last staff meeting and Chris wasn't there.
Oh, that's right. We were going to follow up with them. Hey, do you know why Utopia would want to come to one of our city council meetings?
Oh, but do you want me to find out?
That would be great. Thanks.
Is it Aaron or Roger? Do you know? I'll ask them both.
Okay.
One thing we were looking at was whether they're a provider or just laying the cable? Who, are they actually a provider for?
That's a,
Did that get resolved?
Did we figure that one out?
Yeah.
Who's the city's provider?
Oh, who's the city's provider?
Yes.
That was the question we had at the last
I
act.
thought it was X-Machine.
No, I think it depends upon who they have in the queue at the moment, right? So our provider for our internet here at the city, our fiber kind of changes. It's not Sumo or Centricom or X-Mission, correct, Chris?
Sorry, I couldn't hear what the other conversation was. What was the main one everybody signed up for? I can't remember.
X-Mission.
Yeah, that's the one I got.
A lot of
Centricom.
people signed up. for that.
Centricom, Sumo.
I've been Centricom.
Centricom was the one that all of Summit Creek signed up for.
Yeah, I think Centricom's their own company.
Mm-hmm.
And me.
Well, I can't remember who it was, but are you guys having trouble with it?
No, they're
No, we
great.
just don't know who is our provider. We
For the
were looking
city.
to get not a VPN.
VoIP.
What's that?
VoIP.
Voice over IP for the city.
Ah,
So Lori was looking into that just to see, she's just looking at bills and see if she can't, decrease them. But our current CenturyLink connections, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jody, are a little garbled, and the connection's just not that great.
yeah, the phone lines out front have been, they've gotten wet many times.
It was really bad on caucus night.
Yeah, the phone lines are, they're down by the fire station. They've just been wet and they're just scratchy and stuff. The reason I'm kind of hemming and hawing, because we're getting a super good rate at the fire station, the city center, like not even a tenth of the cost. Because I don't want to bring that to anybody's attention. They were very kind to give us that rate at first. And if we start getting VoIP and that kind of stuff, that may change our rates a little bit. But there was one, was it Sumo that offered phones?
There's a number of them. Lori and I went over that list at staff meeting just to see of all the providers. I think 60% of them did
Okay.
voice over IP. So she's looking more into that. We were just curious on that front. But if you could figure out exactly.
Centricom supplies, they do 3CX, I think it's called. That's what my company uses. And so I recommended that because my company switched to it worldwide. And so when I was talking to Lori about it, I gave her that information. And Centricom is a vendor for that service. You have to find a local service. It wouldn't have to be Centricom, but
Yeah.
Hey, Wayne, who does fiber in the new Bell development?
That'd be Utopia.
That'll be,
So that's all worked out and they get that lines laid in there to every house, like,
The developer would have to lay the line in the road,
or call the fiber in to do it for them.
but they'll have to cover those
but that
utilities.
happens, right? That happens without us jumping on it or anything.
Not really. Well, it depends on the developer. And that's kind of an option. It's not like having gas to your house or electricity to your house. So
Well, it seems
the
like,
developer would be responsible. Not like Summer Creek, they opted not to have fiber.
wow,
So they
well,
don't have it.
They have
well, they
Centricom.
have their own fiber,
They
right?
have a line in there, but it's through Centricom.
I think we have veracity at the city center.
Oh,
Yeah, it had issues the other night.
Well, thank you so much. Is there anybody else that has an item for an upcoming city council?
Not yet.
Okay, then I will, I don't believe we have anything for a closed session, do we?
Nope.
No?
What was Chris alluding to?
Is that worth us going into closed session, Chris?
Jody, is that public? I don't know if it's public or not. I mean,
It's on Exchange that an appeal was filed.
okay, so if it's public information, the appeal was filed.
It was. So we're not having a party?
Not yet.
Okay,
I
well,
really don't know much more than what the appeal was filed. There's some deadlines and stuff.
Okay.
okay, then I'll entertain a motion to close and adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.